because even that story centers impression management, right? For Brittany versus her daughter. She can't seem to get outside of herself, and it's a real shame. I feel for Olivia.
Yeah. And like a lack of social tact.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And she's in good company with that, to be fair. But like, damn.
It's a very tactless group.
Yeah, I would say that's a great word to describe that group, is tactless.
Welcome, friends, to Reality Test. What is reality testing, you may ask? Well, it's something we all do when we check our subjective or personal emotions, thoughts, and so forth against objective or fact-based reality. So here in Reality Test, we're going to be testing the castmate realities and the producer antics of our favorite reality TV shows against what we know as licensed psychologists about the reality off of our TVs. We hope you'll join us as we attempt to reality test. That's it. Thanks, y'all. Now check out our campy theme song.
Are you feeling stressed? Your head's all messed? Well, let's forget all the rest. Fuck it, we're blessed. Cause it's time to talk reality test. Come with us. Let's reality test.
Welcome to Reality Test. I'm Dr. Ray.
And I'm Dr. K. Feel free to check in, take a seat wherever you like. We're heading back to that Salt Lake City.
Woo! The tea is piping hot in Salt Lake City. This is a great season. I'm having so much fun with them. I cannot even believe it. I can't believe all that's happening. It is wild.
It is. It's jam-packed goodness. Overwhelmed with the good of it all. We have so many different angles with so many different castmates. It's interesting because even the ones that don't have a lot of their own personal storyline are bringing it in the group setting.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think everyone is showing up this season, some in kinder ways than others, but man, it is action-packed and just goes to show, y'all don't need Jen Shah. You were just fine on your own.
Truly. We did not need it. She kind of took all the oxygen, in fact.
Yeah, she really did.
By the way, I figured out why I was getting confused about the number of the episodes. It's because on Peacock, they were also including Watch What Happens Live as episodes.
Yes, I noticed that. It was confusing. I agree. Very tricky.
So now that I knew, I was like, okay, so we are doing the first 9 episodes. And then, as you all know, we're only doing the scenes that we have things to say about and some all cast scenes as well. So is it like a redux version of the recap? And then also today we're doing our awards instead of our segments. So you know that our favorite 8 awards, like all that have the word test in them, because we are a reality test after all. And so things like protest this mess and so forth. We will explain the awards as we give them. And we are a therapist, but not your therapist and not their therapist. So we might talk about psych stuff, but we won't be diagnosing because we haven't met with them for in-depth psychological assessment. That said, let's do our reality check. So our reality check is where we talk about a study that we brought to you that we think might be of interest in some way. So what is your reality check today, Dr. Ray?
My reality check is this study that's called It's a Mix of Authenticity and Complete Fabrication, Emotional Camping, the Cross-Platform Labor of the Real Housewives by Evie Pasaras. And they found, I don't know their gender identity, after 6 years of research into the Real Housewives franchise, they found that successfully branded housewives tend to be the following 3 things: very dedicated to the Bravo universe, very inclined to present as walking GIFs on Instagram. So like we think of Ramona and her eyes, right? And the way that Real Housewives can be like a gift or memed or something like that. And that there's an authenticity to their presentation that tends to really work well for housewives that are successful. So those 3 things tend to lead to the folks who tend to stay on the show for a long period of time and people want to follow. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. Relatively straightforward, but an interesting finding nonetheless.
I love it. And it's good for the housewives to know, something they can do to continue their fame if they want to stay on the show. I love it so much. It makes total sense. Yeah, I think that was part of what made Heather in particular, her first season, so important as a character, if you will, as a castmate, is because she was so authentic, I think.
And she's getting back to that. Thank goodness.
Yeah. And like you said, she's very grounded this season, which we love seeing. We like a lot. I saw also she has a documentary out about escaping Mormonism. And I actually just noticed that today for the first time. And I was thinking about whether that might have also helped her with some of the groundingness, just sort of like having another outlet to talk about her life and sort of thinking about Mormonism's effect and helping her feel like a part of the solution. I think it was nice.
Yes.
My study.
Yeah.
My reality check is about reality check, please. is about relational bullying in adults because, oh boy, if that's not what we're looking at all over the place with Housewives in general, but certainly this one in particular, this season of Salt Lake City has had a lot of relational bullying in adults. So this is a survey that was done by Harris Poll on behalf of the American Osteopathic Association, and they found that adults are being bullied at levels similar to adolescence, and that there are health consequences reducing Americans' ability to function. It was a survey of more than 2,000 U.S. adults. 31% of Americans have been bullied as an adult, and 43% say that the behavior has become more accepted in the past year since Trump became president. I'll let you know.
Not surprising.
No. And so 71% of them suffer from stress, of folks who've been bullied. Victims of bullying have these things. 71% suffer from stress, 70% experience anxiety, depression, 55% report loss of confidence, 39% have sleep loss, 26 have headaches, and 22 experience muscle tension or pain. 19% reported having a mental breakdown, which is not, that's a huge number. And 17% noted an inability to function, calling in sick frequently.
Jeez.
So yeah, and there are health consequences because, as we know, when we don't process our emotional content, it can come out as physical ailments. So there were a lot of those as well. So taking that and then moving to more of a psychological space with this, first I wanted to mention that the way that Psychology Today defines relational bullying, because it's a specific type, is harming peers' relationships through exclusion, rumors, or manipulation. It's a covert form of aggression defined as a set of manipulative behaviors used to inflict harm on another through damage to relationships, threat of damage, or both. And then intent to harm another person through non-physical injury, or manipulation of relationships covertly, such as spreading rumors, gossiping, ignoring, or excluding, or overtly, like directly telling a peer, if you don't do what I say, I won't be your friend. And I think all three of those definitions come into play in a major way in this season is like very, very clear. Oftentimes, it's because of early relational traumas that adult bullies feel inadequate and overlooked, rejected, or abandoned. And so they cope with those limitations by trying to gain power in a relationship by reducing another's power. They also act out unconscious powerlessness, envy, fear of rejection, and desperation for popularity. Okay, so that's the idea, is that like these folks, like Elisa, are actually acting out their subconscious, unconscious powerlessness, envy, fear of rejection, and desperation for popularity. And insecure bullies are often convinced of their victimhood and projections, making them seem innocent to others. And again, that's very Lisa, of sort of like, she's very much focused on the person has to take accountability, or like, okay, everybody come. She literally says every single time we see her, why is everyone coming for me? You all come for me. And so it's sort of this idea of like being convinced of her victimhood makes her seem innocent in some ways to a naive observer. But for those of us who have seen her year after year, we're sort of like that's not really what's happening.
No.
People are just trying to hold you accountable. And actually they all are like dying for your approval. So it's sort of ironic in that way too. I think they're more aware of their insecurity than the others are. And so like their relational bullying takes on a quality of sort of like retaliatory, which isn't great, but it has a sort of element where I feel like they could kind of hold it back because they're more aware of it. Whereas Lisa, I think, genuinely could not help herself. Like, I think she's so deeply insecure and desperate for popularity that she can't help but relationally bully and gossip and spread lies and so forth. So yeah, but I would share those little nuggets about relational bullying. And I was surprised that it happens at rates similar to adolescence.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, do we see it on this show? I think that was the perfect study to pick for what's happening right now on the Real Housewives. I'm so glad that you shared that one. And it's interesting that rates have increased since Trump's presidency, which is kind of unsurprising because he is such a bully. Yeah, thank you for sharing. That's a great study.
Exactly. He really is such a bully. He makes it okay. And it's so sad. And I would also say, like, I wonder if the quality of bullying has changed too, where like there might be more name calling and, you know, using people's personal identities as a target and things like that, given the way that he bullies. But yeah, I like that we really covered the Housewives psychology today.
Yes, it's very fun, kind of what their goals are, how they become successful, and what tactics they're using to do what they do. My goodness.
Exactly. I know. And you hope that like they're enough of a characterization, caricature. They're enough of a caricature of adult bullies that people won't take on deck their strategies, but it's hard to imagine that they're not. Like, I think there are probably plenty of people who sort of like mimic, maybe even subconsciously, the behaviors of these women. And so like that is troubling.
Absolutely. I mean, they become your friends in some ways after a while. Like, I feel like I know them, even if I don't.
And then if they're our friends, we subconsciously mimic them. Yeah, totally. Really great.
Not good.
Well, tell me how you're doing today. We'll do our little check-in now, which is what is on your heart and mind today, dear Dr. Ray.
Lily Allen's new album, West End Girl, so fun. Have you
Oh, I love
listened
her.
to this album?
I have not yet, and I love her, so must.
Oh my God. It's a harrowing tale of her most recent breakup, which, oh my gosh, her husband, who's the guy on Stranger Things, it is the amount that is shared, the amount of like explicit detail of their breakup that is shared in that album is kind of wild. You got to listen to the songs in order and maybe multiple times. It really paints a picture of an end of a relationship. And I was gooped and gagged. It was really something. So I've been enjoying listening to that album. Also, I feel for her. Like it seems like the end of their relationship was really tough. So sending love to Lily Allen, and thank you for the great album. Hope you don't get sued, but you might. She might get sued
yourself.
For sure. It's that explicit. Yeah. Like there is a lot of detail in there.
And he's famous, so there could be like what's the word, like libel or like
Yeah.
You know, it's like slander. Because also, I mean, if it's true though, right? If she can like prove it's all true, then maybe they can't succeed at that. Like, apparently, like I think we've talked about this before. It's like extremely hard to prove slander or libel. So maybe she'll be fine. I do think when it's in the name of art, tough to say. My favorite songs of hers were when she was in breakups, like her old ones that were so good. I just looked up who you meant was her husband because I was like, wait, they're all so young. And then I was like, maybe you mean the sheriff or whatever, and that's who it is, right? Harbor, whatever his name is. Yeah. Okay.
Apparently, he's a little bit of she calls him a sex addict. But then I looked him up and I was like, actually, I could see that. Sometimes the shoe fits. Yeah. And that's not the problem. You'll learn from the album. That's not the problem. It's how he manipulated and misused their arrangement. That's something actually that comes up in the Housewives. So, yeah, it's actually pretty relevant.
Very fitting. I love that. Yeah, exactly. Like, because I tend to think sex addiction isn't like a psychopathology. I think, you know, it's sort of like an application, maybe even really more of like an OCD, you know, obsessive compulsive use of sex or whatever as a way of getting gratification or releasing endorphins or, you know what I mean? Whereas, so like, I like that you're saying that wasn't the problem in and of itself. That's great. I'm excited. I'm going to listen to it right after this. Good music.
Amazing.
It'll also be like a pop culture-y update today because I'm excited for Wicked Part 2 coming out a week from yesterday. I already bought tickets and we got to pick our seats. And it's like this theater with these amazing recliners. They're like big leather recliners. You can buy alcohol there and stuff, which is so, for my very rural area, is wild. So I'm excited about it. Oh yeah, and we're going to do 3D, which I'm excited about as well. So my husband now loves it, which is such a gift and a joy. And he also lets me sing along to it, which is such a needed thing. I keep it very quiet, of course, but like cannot help myself. Can't help it. So it's a joy that he like totally puts up with it. Not just that, he also sometimes is like, you just totally hit that nice. It's like, thank you, I did that. It's the cutest little nerdiest musical theater scenario.
Amazing. I love it. Love, love, love.
The other nice thing about being in a rural area is that so few people go to any movies here. So like I already saw where we got the best tickets, like for places to sit, and because like no one had really signed up for it yet. Last time we went to see the first part of Wicked, there were more people there than usual for movies, but still there was like no one ahead of us, no one in front of us, no one like right next to us. So my very quiet singing was not being bothersome in any way. So
I'm sure not. You have a lovely voice. I'm sure it enhanced the experience.
Yeah, right. If anything, it's a live concert.
Yes, you're welcome, everyone.
Exactly.
I'm so excited for you. I'm excited to see that movie too, though I did not buy tickets that ahead of time, but might be worth it. Yeah. There's a double feature, I think, at some places. Yeah, so you can see it twice. That means that's not you. You're not quite that. But even I, at like heavy fangirl level, was like really thinking about it. And I was like, 5 hours and 10 minutes of it is probably a little bit too much in a row. Like I like to digest it, talk about it, and then come back to it. So I would maybe see it twice in theaters, but I don't know if I'd see it back to back, Jack. So we'll see what happens there. Also, just like sidebar, we are totally exaggerating about me giving a live concert. I promise I'm not that annoying person in the theaters. People are like imagining me just like having my own concert. No, it's very quiet. It's barely audible. I just can't help it. It's just so good. And the lyrics are so good. They had a like concert on Peacock so you could get like a preview of some of their new songs that are original. I'm not like high jazzed on them yet, so I'm going to see if I like them in the context of the movie. One of them I liked more than the other, but we shall see. So I like that they tried to do that. That's cool. Yeah, give it the old college try, even if it's not a success.
And they did it with the guy who wrote the original music, like Stephen Schwartz or whatever his name is. So at least that's good. It wasn't like someone being like, I can do what they did, you know, later or something. So
very cool.
Yay. Yeah. So let's jump into that Salt Lake City salt water.
That's perfect.
Salt water.
They surely are. So
do the same thing
maybe
by episode.
I
Yeah.
like it.
Go reverse.
Yeah,
I'll start.
That
Okay.
sounds great. Perfect. Yeah, you can start, and we'll go from there.
Let me just hop, skip, jump right into this bad boy by explaining. First, we're on episode 5, and this is Wit's garden party, which is an all-cast event. So we do have some stuff from it, even though we didn't have segments per se. One nugget is that in a prior episode, you may recall that Angie told Meredith that Lisa had tried to convince Angie to dig up dirt on Meredith when they were fighting. And so her warning to Meredith was like, look, Lisa does this to you too. So like, don't pretend like you're, an exception. And so she tells Meredith that. Meredith is like, well, if it's true, I won't forgive her. Like, that will be really upsetting. But then she comes to this event. This is where she brings it up. And she says, I need to know if you were trying to spread negative rumors about my family, which like is not at all what Angie said to her, like at all. She literally said she was trying to convince me to dig up dirt. And Angie in some ways was like very stoic through this, sort of like, I'm willing to back that up. But I kind of was surprised she wasn't like, whoa, like not exactly what I said, And so then of course, Lisa's able to defend herself. She's like, no, definitely not. I thought we were doing really well between the two of us. We started a new friendship, yada, yada. So she defends herself. She looks at Angie and she's sort of like, oh, it looks like Satan knows what this is about. Angie brings up why it is. Again, this felt like a miss on Angie's part, because then she was sort of like, rather than saying like, that's not what I said you said, here's what you said, here's where we were when you said it. Instead, she goes, here's why I told Angie. Here's why I told Meredith what I did. And sort of makes it personal. Like, you said this to me and da-da-da-da, rather than being like, here's what I said, when I said it. So then it turns into this whole thing, screaming at each other, pointing across the table, throwing credit cards. Angie brings up Lisa's facelift. You look like you've been in a wind tunnel, which is just like so highly unnecessary and rude. It reminded me of when she said that Meredith's face looked like a trampoline. Like, what the fuck?
Just stop.
So
like,
awful,
it's unkind. She goes
really
low,
unkind.
For sure. She goes pretty low.
It seems to always be about plastic surgery too, which is like sort of tough because they're in a culture where they feel pressure to do that.
Absolutely. And Angie is not immune from that at all, I would not think.
Exactly. And then Lisa references Soup Man, but actually it was Soup Man. We later find out, but we don't cover that later, so I'll just say it now. That it was Soup Man, but she says Soup Man, and so it sounds like Soup Man. And then she's asked in the testimonial, and she goes, well, that's a question for Terrence, who's the psychic. So she's purposely being vague about it. So it's pretty clear she's making shit up. Whit can't get them to stop. She's like, they both want the last word. They won't stop. It's the worst. Mary tries to intervene, being like, it's not that deep. And Angie is still super heated. Lisa has left at this point anyway, but she rejects Mary's help. And Mary gets pissed. She's like, I don't like being around that kind of feisty energy, is what she says. And she leaves. She gets upset for being screamed at. And yet, so part of what I didn't like was that I noticed second time through watching the scene was that what happened was that Angie was talking to Heather. Mary came up and was like, calm down. But then while Mary was trying to talk to Angie and Angie was responding to Mary, Heather started screaming at them, like just like trying to be not like at them angrily, but sort of like, why don't you care? Like, this isn't even about that. And so then, of course, Angie had to scream because she was screaming over Heather. And so I kind of felt like that was sort of unfair that it was taken out on Angie in that moment, just because I felt like she was actually trying to stay on Mary's level during that conversation. She was trying to let Mary co-regulate with her. But because of the screaming, it was tough. So the other thing just worth mentioning is that Angie brought plastic tote of gifts that Lisa had given her / her daughter. And then when Lisa leaves, Angie's like screaming about not wanting to take it anymore and being bullied. And she goes, and I don't even know anyone who sells soup. And then she throws the toy horse that Electra had been given to Electra, and it breaks its leg. Yeah. And the cool thing about that was that Terrence had said during Angie's tete-a-tete with the psychic that he foresees, it was kind of cool, he foresees Electra's horse getting getting injured. And so Angie was like, oh my God, that's awful. But it turns out it was like the broken horse of the plastic horse that broke its leg while there she was throwing it. Kind of fucking cool.
Kind of wild.
Yep. And that is all. That's episode 5.
Yes. So then we go to episode 6. Angie and Heather debrief the garden party first. Then, which I can't remember the specifics. Do you remember what they said in that conversation?
They were just talking about the stuff. Like Angie was like, I feel bad, but I hate that Lisa targets us, and like I feel like I had to stand up for ourselves. But yeah, I took out just for like these next like 5 scenes. I took out the details on it because we didn't have any segments on it, and they weren't all cast scenes. So we're just leaving in the title heading just so that y'all know what happened.
Yes,
but I do have details on all of them if you want them. But I did take them out.
Good.
Okay.
And then Bronwyn and Todd get ice cream. He was a little more condescending this time. So I think his like new, sexy rebrand of Todd, the nice guy, kind of was maybe a little short-lived. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shaky place. He was pretty dismissive.
Really.
Which is a shame. Lisa tells John about Kanuan.
Yeah,
Is that how you say it?
Where they're going.
Kanuan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they're going on their trip.
She didn't know where it was, right?
Yeah. She was like, it's right next to Galapagos Islands. And they showed us on the map, like,
yeah, the
somewhere
producer, a little producer antics there. It can be a little silly.
Yeah.
Mary and Angie chit chat about, was this the one about the farting?
Yeah, I think so. That means
Oh
also that was the one where she confronted her. Is that what that is? Because that is that one. So it's where Mary confronts Angie about the party too, about the garden party, and says like, "I just couldn't put up with that. You're becoming a bully, yada yada." And then she's like, "And the farting thing."
Oh yeah, which was hilarious. And I understand Mary brought up farting in a later episode, so I'm like, she's a little fixated on the gas.
Yes.
But I found that part hilarious. My partner and I were just giggling because it just got silly, and it was a great enjoyed it.
Yeah, another producer antic.
I can understand too, Mary. I think her point maybe was like, you kept bringing it up. It was a little much.
Went too far. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She became the punchline of the meeting,
Right. And I think that's what she was trying to say. And the delivery was funny. And I'm glad they got to a place where they were able to resolve it because I like their friendship.
Exactly.
Heather confronts Lisa at a store and tells her behavior is a little out of pocket, right? I think that's what happened.
Yes, exactly.
And they fight. And then we go to Brit and Olivia. Brit opens by saying to us that Terrence was prophetic. I
have a segment here.
Yes, go for it.
Right in here. So I did have this as my testimonial because Brit saying that Terrence was prophetic. I was like, girl, Whitney has been telling her to fix it with Olivia for fucking months, it feels like. Like, maybe not, but for us, it feels like it's been months of her telling her, like, good God, please fix it with Olivia. And it's just when Terrence, a man, by the way, tells her, you got to figure the shit out, that she finally listens. And so the other reason it's wild is because it's not prophetic if you reach out to Olivia because of him. Like, it wasn't like he predicted it. You, like, did the thing because he told you to do the thing. So I definitely was like, okay. But it was a funny testimonial, therefore.
She's a funny lady, Brittany.
Yes, she certainly is.
She got Olivia a steamer and hoped she'd remembered that she was giving steamers when she was 4. Brit tells the story, and the whole punchline is Brit yelling to the Starbucks, "It's not coffee. I'm not a bad mother." What was this about again? I don't remember.
So, and I have a segment here, so I will totally dive right the fuck in with it because she basically tells the story. She's like, do you remember that? She's like, I got you steamer, get it? I got you steamer, get it? And Olivia's like, no. And she's like, well, when you were 4. And she was like, I was 4. But when she was 4, they were in the middle of the Starbucks, and Olivia kept saying to her, I want my coffee, and was like throwing a fit. And it looked bad on Brittany because it looked like she was giving her 4-year-old coffee. And so she was like, it's a steamer, I'm not a bad mother. And I just was like, oh, wow. Like, the choice of this story in this setting was so misplaced. Like, I think just a very terrible, terrible punchline of the story, when clearly the whole point of what Olivia's trying to tell you is that you've been a terrible mother, like, for the last however many years. And so it's like, what an ironic thing to try to come up with this story where it's like she's not a terrible mother because she wasn't giving her coffee. Okay, but how about abandoning her for 7 years? It's like, that seems a little bit worse than the coffee question. And so at first Olivia was like laughing with her because she was like, oh, this is fun to revisit when you were a good mother and I was 4. But then it took a weird turn and Olivia just like froze, and it just was real uncomfortable. So I put this for my segment. I had put this on test results. Test results are where we hold castmates accountable. We like read their results after they have been tested. And so she has not grown, I think, in terms of really fully understanding Olivia and what she's done wrong. The main thing that's wrong with sort of abandoning kiddos, like, I think it's Mormonism, right? The whole point, we talked about this previously, that the Mormonism is why she put men above her kids, because they teach you to do that in Mormonism. But what she doesn't understand is one of the downsides of that is that then it puts the onus on the kids. Like, it's their fault that you've abandoned them. And so Olivia doesn't bring that up specifically too. And I think that that's another piece of sort of test results where it's like, I hope she can come to learn, because she was like, oh, of course it wasn't you. It's like, but of course she thinks it was her, So I was really impressed with Olivia. I feel like she has grown a lot. I feel like she test results is high level skills and maybe therapy, I'm assuming. But then Brits are like very not so much.
No, Brit is unfortunately a pretty selfish mother, or that's how I'm seeing what's happening. And I hope she can get, because even that story centers impression management, right, for Brittany versus her daughter. She can't seem to get outside of herself, and it's a real shame. I feel for Olivia.
Yeah. And like a lack of social tact.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And she's in good company with that, to be fair. But like, damn.
It's a very tactless group.
Yeah, I would say that's a great word to describe that group, is tactless. Brit brings up the last time they tried, and Brit thought Jared...
Olivia did. Sorry. Olivia brought up the last... She's like, do you remember the last time we tried this? Brit was like, no.
And Brit and Jared made out in front of her the whole time. What the heck? That's awful. And she recognized, I've been in the habit of putting men first, which was good. But then she said, because I don't even get to see you guys, which is making herself kind of the victim, which is so unfair. Yes. And then Olivia says, yeah, you don't get to blame that on us. Olivia tells us that Brit was everything you'd want in a mom before she was 12. And then when she got remarried, it was like something switched in her brain. And they were suddenly like begging for attention because they knew that she could be a loving mother, which is so sad. And then, and then Brittany said,
the thing with that's problematic, it's not even a segment, so I'm totally hopping, skip, and jumping right in here, but that's like what anxious attachment is like inconsistent. Like, because anxious attachment is like, you know that they can give you attention, so it makes it even worse because you're going to try harder, try. And so, whereas like avoidant attachment is where you learn that they just won't pay attention, so then you just like give up, which is sad too. But it goes to speak to like why that's so damaging, that Olivia was like, you had done the thing, so I like wanted so badly for you to do the thing.
Yeah, she really is a pretty self-aware person.
I love it. And probably it did turn into something like avoidant, right? Because then she learned she won't do it anymore. She she hit her head against the wall enough times with Brittany not giving her that attention that she was like, now I have to give up. And that's so sad.
Yeah. And then Brittany said, honestly, I think I don't know how to make it better. And then Liv said, I know you can't go back, but I put myself in your shoes and I'm like, I would never do that. So why did you? And then Brit said, I don't know, Liv. And then Liv said, I feel like it's important for you to figure out why you did that so you don't do it again. Yes. Which is great. And then Liv thought it was her fault. And then Brit said, of course it wasn't you, my precious baby. But like you said before, of course she's going to think it's her. That's what kids do. Liv said to that, my precious baby, that you know nothing about. And Brit said, I would love the opportunity if you'll let me. And Liv said, I just don't want to get hurt again. So very complicated scene. And Brit's got a lot of work to do.
Yes. And Liv held her to it. I really was impressed.
Yeah, she didn't just make it all okay to kind of get along to get on or whatever. She really held her to task, which is great.
Totally.
Then what happens next? Heather takes a walk with Meredith. Whitney has Meredith and Angie over, and Bronwyn and Todd. Whitney has Mary and Angie over, sorry. And then Bronwyn and Todd meet at a bar. And then we get into the real drama.
Yes, the yada yachts of it all.
Yes.
Exactly. And the only thing that matters about that last scene with Bronwyn and Todd is because it recognizes that now Bronwyn is the one being dragged through the news. And she explains it. She's sort of like, this isn't even really tracking. One of the things, yes, like forever ago this happened. But the other thing, it wasn't even me. It was something I was involved in but I can't even talk about it because it's been sealed. And it was years ago and they're acting like it just happened. So it stinks of like intervention by somebody is the point. And it does read like that, even without her saying that, the way that she talks about it. So
why is this coming up now?
Exactly. And like in a way that's so clearly not based on reality or like fact. It's based on salaciousness, which of course that's what the newspapers do anyway, or blogs do anyway. But it has an element of it that's just sort of like already twisted. It was twisted when it got to them, you know.
The rumors and the nastiness.
The rumors.
I showed Connor, because Connor was he doesn't usually watch Salt Lake with me, but he heard Meredith drunk talking. And he was like, what is this? I'm like, is this like old Hollywood accent? Like, what's going on here? And then I showed him the rumors and the nastiness, and he died. we were so good. Cracking up.
The husband.
The husband. Yeah.
She said that, by the way. Yeah. No, it's too much. It's like, it's literally cackleable about. And I noticed that she said husband, like the same way that she says it then, like during these last couple episodes on the yacht. I think she purposely was sort of like pulling from it because she wasn't wasted. So I just was like, that's hilarious. You think husband. It was great.
She's trying to brand, which is a part of the successful
She knows what she's
housewife.
famous for. Yeah, exactly. And now she's DJing. So that's another way of her trying to be relevant. Yeah. So
fascinating.
yeah,
Okay, good stuff.
Get it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Yes,
Exactly. So yada yachts of it all. This is interesting because it's a hell of a crossover because Captain Jason is the captain of one of the below deck seasons. And sure enough, there's an intersection with like Daisy, his cheap stew and so forth. This whole crew is on a season of it. So we're going to get to see this from their perspective as well. But the cool thing about, I cannot wait either. And because they're both Bravo shows, they did a little bit of that. Like they showed us a little bit of what it was like from below deck's perspective as well, which I loved. I loved they did a little bit of the like, we're actually kind of in both shows at the same time here. It's fantastic. So Heather is hosting because she knows Captain Jason. She said that if she were stranded on an island with Captain Jason, she would bring condoms and a bikini. But then she later also mistakenly implies to Brittany that she had like gotten down with him, like had sex. But then she says, like, so what she actually says is, we have history, we fucked around. And then she goes, there's nothing there. But Brittany was like, sort of like, what? Like, and so then Heather tells us to camera, no, that was a mistake. I didn't mean it like that. We haven't had sex, basically. But what I thought was interesting is that then when Brittany shows interest in Jason, Heather says to us, I love it. Go for it, Brittany. Like, she's like all over supporting her, which is really cool, like cool girl behavior, like girl friend, girl's girl behavior. But it also felt very like minimizing of her own desire for Jason. Like, I don't know. It just felt like a little bit like too self-effacing for me. I just wanted her to be able to feel solid and like being able to be like, I like him too. So it's like a little awkward, but like, go Brit, or like, we can both go for him or something. And sure enough, like, then, and I don't write this down in the notes, so I'll just mention now that sure enough later, Heather is sort of like flirty with him because she has that relationship with him and she likes him and that's okay. She should have just owned that, I think. But so then Brit ends up saying to her, like, you keep like hanging out with him. It just like says, I was like, that's so awkward, Brittany. Friend.
Let her cook.
So that was exactly. So that was what the context was where she said like, well, we fucked around. There's nothing there, which I think was intentional, and that's why it's better to just own that you do like Jason. And so it's like then things like that kind of don't come out sideways, but.
Right. Yeah. She should have owned it. I did put as one of my segments, the testosterone. I actually did find Heather's behavior. I mentioned this later, but I'll just put it here towards Jason and crew members when they're working inappropriate, like saying, I'd ride you like a dolphin or what. I was like,
I also put that in there. I was like, if that was a man doing that to a woman castmate, like a woman crew member, that would be so fucked up. So how is it not fucked up that she was doing it?
I felt quite bad for them. I was like, they're working. This is not okay. Like, if you and Jason have something, that's cool. But the way you're kind of going about it right now, trying to make a joke, maybe it's coming out sideways again, is like a little inappropriate. So,
she was like big dogging it. Totally.
Yeah. It's like,
it was uncomfortable as fuck.
Not good.
Yeah.
But.
I think she was like a little bit better with Jason. Like it was almost about Jason that she was so inappropriate, which is interesting. It's like to Jason, she understood she was not the top dog, but like to the crew member, she's like, I'm paying you, so I own you, is the sort of element that is dangerous about being in the power position. And it felt really shitty. And then how she's talking about Jason felt really awful too. So I was like,
I agree. I like her. I love her sex positivity. I think she's got to be mindful of it, how it's coming out when she's drinking. I think it would be my feedback.
Totally. When she's drinking and when she's in the power up position. Too.
Totally.
Because she kind of is over Jason as well by paying for the boat. Like, right. So like she's almost using that is almost how she feels able to do it behind the scenes, even though she doesn't do it to his face, but like as much. But yeah, so it's sort of still the power thing, I think, there too. Just as quick backstory, and then I want you to tell me about your segment, is that Bronwyn came late by tender and brings her concerns that we just talked about that she talked about with Todd to the table about someone digging up info and spreading it to the press.
Yes, the rumors and nastiness. So Lisa immediately gets defensive before it even got specific. No one here would do that. We've been hanging out for a long time. It was really weird. Then I wasn't upset. Yeah, I wasn't upset that you dug up information on me, and it was clear you were with me and did it out of retaliation. It looked like rationalizations for why she went after Bronwyn. And as Bronwyn is telling them about it, she gets to the sealed file, and it's the first time Lisa pipes up and asks what happened, what's in the file, or something directly related to the sealed file. This was so cringe. I was like, it was also deeply enjoyable because she was showing her hands it was so obvious to everyone sitting there that she was the one who released that information. So that was my Doing the MosTEST award. I think Lisa could have played it a little cooler and it might have gone. And I feel like maybe in past seasons she has, but maybe because she's not doing as well right now, her meter's a little off. I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I had put this for one of the two worst. They were the worst test of friends. They were the best test of friends. As this was like my ultimate worst test of friends is Lisa, and so she ultimately completely gave herself up in the way she was talking about it. It was like one of the most obvious, blatant flagellation, I guess, or whatever it is, flagellation is the word. Well, flagellation is farting. But she
yes,
she
Mary.
completely oh, a really beautiful blue jay just landed right there. Oh my God, that was so cool. It was big. It was gorgeous, really pretty, just like right outside my window.
I love blue jays.
Me too, and I feel like there's a symbolism with them. So whatever that is, that just happened, which I love. Yes. So, but she just so very clearly laid herself out for fucking, for everyone to see that she clearly did it. And yeah, exactly. So the last thing I'll just mention, that what I had put my segment technically on was the part about the sealed file, because it just made it so obvious. Because Lisa wasn't asking a single, she started the thing, had everyone run with it, and then the one time she piped up during Bronwyn's story is when Bronwyn got to the sealed file, and all Lisa says is, "What did it say in it?" She clearly was waiting to find that out. That was the thing she wanted dirt on, so she could come for her in that way, because it was the only thing she probably looked hard, tried to get it unsealed, and everyone's like, "We can't do that because we're not federal agents," or whatever. So she probably tried really hard to get to it. I think that suggests. Bronwyn also said that Lisa called her Conwyn at one point in person, and then almost the exact name was used on Twitter by an instigator, where they played it back, and it turned out Lisa called her Fraudwyn, but close enough, because the name used on Twitter the next day was Conwyn Fraudport instead of Newport, which Fraudport, Newport, nah. It does sound like Lisa.
It truly does.
It's not even witty. Then Whit asks Heather if she thinks Lisa leaked it, and Heather says, yeah, absolutely. And it was interesting because you see Whit sort of tenderfooting about it. She's like, I don't know if this is something that you feel like. It sort of seems like da-da-da-da. And then Heather was like, yeah, I definitely think so. And then she brings Whit in to talk to Meredith, which was such a weird bait and switch, because she was like, let's go talk to Meredith. But then she got back and made Whit be the one to tell Meredith what they thought. So that was sort of shitty, to be honest.
You're right. The thing
was that I kind of didn't like this, because it felt like they were trying to get Lisa's only support away from her, which felt kind of unfair, because now we're all bashing on Lisa. And mind you, Meredith's not even that supportive or very good at supporting her. So I just don't feel like we need it. Just let her be. Let her have Meredith, because Meredith's not going to do much anyway. And Meredith is not going to fucking come for her. You have to know she won't. So she obviously, the whole time they're talking about it with her, they're like, we know it's Lisa. We know she would do this. And Meredith's like, we don't know. So I think it's possible. If it's true, obviously, I would not be okay with that. But I don't think it's true necessarily. So she does the whole plausible deniability thing. She's like,
it's a lot.
She's like, sometimes there's so many coincidences, it's not a coincidence, but maybe it's a coincidence.
I can't. It's just too much. Yeah. It's obvious. If it smells like shit, it's probably shit. That's what I feel about this.
Walking and talking like a motherfucking duck up in here.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So this is the next all cast thing, because it's a meal at the dinner, where we're going to confront Lisa. First, Brittany brings up that she doesn't miss Mary's commentary, which was just sort of rude. And Heather says, we have a rule that we only talk shit face to face. I was like, since when? You were just talking shit about Lisa a good 5 minutes ago to Meredith. You were doing that. But Britt says, well, I'm the only one who does say shit to someone's face. Bronwyn's like, say what? And then she goes, you have people you're not happy with. She won't give it on her own. Britt denies it. So Bronwyn's like, okay, then I'll tell them. She was talking about shit about you. She was talking about shit about you to Meredith and Lisa, telling them exactly what she had said. Meredith then dumps water in Brittany's lap, who throws it back at her. Meredith defends herself and ends up in Bronwyn's lap. Yeah, just the physical violence is terrible. I'm surprised.
It's awful.
That's one of the producer things where it's why weren't y'all intervening about that? That was dangerous. Broken glass, yada, yada.
And then Meredith's so casual about it. It's really weird to me. I don't understand. Yeah.
Yeah, it's disturbing. I think, throwing a drink in someone's face has a history on Housewives. And I think there is an element of that that's we say is okay. It's not. It's still assault. But to some degree it has a little bit more of a place than throwing a glass at someone or or whatever. Yeah. So there's that, but also no, let's not. Even the fact they were we're gonna dump a pitcher of water on Brittany every time she says Jared. I was like, no, we're not. I don't like that. I don't like Brittany, to be fair, but I don't like that,
No, she doesn't deserve to be treated the way she is by these women.
No, and she does a good job playing along with it. So then they take advantage of that. And it's just shitty. But the whole time Meredith is upset, Brittany keeps saying, see, that's what I'm talking about. Because Meredith is suddenly upset. And the thing that confused me is that she turns to Lisa and goes, see, that's what I'm talking about. Why? Why would you think Lisa's going to back you up? So weird.
That is not your friend. Lisa is not your friend.
Lisa's not your friend at all, and certainly not your friend over Meredith. That is wildly misattuned. Lisa and Heather are screaming at each other, and this is the part that's tough, because Jason comes out to eat with them, and he's bringing out the plates, and Heather does not even clock it. She does not even see him there, because she's so wrapped up in her fight with Lisa, which really speaks to what you've brought up before too, about her desperately wanting Lisa's approval because she cares so deeply about Lisa thinking that they're okay and that they're friends. And Heather's like, you're the source of all the dirt. Lisa's like, then we can't be friends. And then she ends up getting directly in Whit's face, which was gross, very aggressive, physically aggressive, not okay. By the way, I wanted to mention earlier and forgot that relational aggression can be basically tantamount, like the same degree of danger as physical, which I brought up last time in a different context. But really, so this relational aggression is already kind of like physical aggression to begin with anyway. But then on top of that, she did very much get directly in Whitney's face. She calls them all liars. There's like, but you're the one who knows everything about everyone. She's sort of like, how do you not see this? Like, how do you not see that this is, of course, you? She tells Lisa, fine, like, get off the boat if you don't want to hear what I have to say. And Lisa freaks out about that and then comes and says, you want me to leave? And Heather was like, no, I was saying if you don't want to hear what I have to say, you can go. Which again is like using her power. She's like, I'm the one who rented the boat, so you have to take me seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the instinct. I also think it was sort of misplaced or sort of power laden. The last scene I had included here was that Jason says, I was going to eat with them, but not today. And then the chef comes out for a second and nothing. The chef, like, this is the whole point of like a fancy dancy meal, is that the chef comes out and everyone applauds them. You know, it's like such a big deal to them. It's their one moment to sort of shine, as being like, otherwise they're behind the scenes. They're not seen, you know, you eat their food, you don't see them, you don't know what they look like. So this is his moment to come out and shine, and totally ignored. He literally had to leave. And then Jason said that they were both treated like ghosts, which I thought was well put. And it was like real sad.
I felt for them.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of par for the course. This is Housewives, but definitely, you know, there were a lot of comments like, they're the loudest people I've ever met. I'm like, do you know the show? Have you seen a Housewife show? This is their job.
And these women in particular, I would say, are pretty out there in terms of their vocalness.
Yes. I will say boats too. The intersection of Housewives with boats, always. You know what I mean? I feel like every time someone's on a boat, shit goes down. Shoes get thrown in the water. You know, people get drunk and wasted and end up being on the couch, you know, the bar bench or whatever. Things just always seem to happen on boats. And it makes sense. I think there's something about the like melodic or, you know, rhythmic movement of the boat. Something seems to do something to people there. So yeah, I vote careful, y'all. It's why like booze cruises are so effective at getting people wasted. I myself have been wasted on a booze cruise or two, so I totally understand. But it's like, right. And you can drink the same amount as usual and you'll still get a little drunker. So I think there's something about it. But certainly there's a history of that with Housewives shows. So here we are in the delight of it all, because there's 3 episodes about this and we love it. So yay for yada, yada, yada of it all.
Yay. So we're
going to reconvene next time with 8 and 9. So we'll take another beat just because why not? This is the juicy. We literally took out scenes upon scenes of stuff too, but you know, there's just such good juice.
There is a lot this season, and we'll have 10 next week too, right?
Yeah, so we can try to do 3
as well. Oh my gosh,
we'll try. One day we'll catch up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Someday.
So, in the meantime, though, come check us out on social media and on patreon.com. You may have found that for the first time ever, there was no excerpt of our video episode on YouTube this week. That's because we're now entirely on Patreon for video content. So scoot on over to patreon.com/realitytest. You can also go to patreon.com and use @realitytest in their search bar. It's $5 measly mother effing dollars. So do the thing if you want to see the videos. You also get access to other types of things that are only there. I just put up another mental health checkup that Dr. Ray did on bi+ identities. So you can only get that if you are an active member of our Patreon. Active meaning you're paying. But you can also be a free member and get our audio episodes the night before. It might be kind of late. I'm trying to get better at that, do it earlier. Thank you to y'all who have joined for the free membership to get it early. I'm working on getting it earlier in the night, but it is the night before. And then otherwise the episode comes out on Monday mornings or Tuesday mornings if there's a holiday. Check it out. Also, if you join us as a paying member and, you know, the soon times coming up, you're going to get a shout out on the podcast, but then you also maybe get a free membership for a year. So check it out. The other thing is social media. So we're on Instagram at Reality Test Podcast. You can also see our individual Instagrams at Dr. Ray Pods, at Dr. K Pods, or you can go to our TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook, all of which are Reality Test Pod. And the other TikTok from before days is at drdr.realitv, REALITV. We also are an email at realitycheckpodding.com. Nope, realitycheckpodding@gmail.com.
Close. You were right there.
Just missed the email part.
Easy to do. And don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and tell all your friends to, you know, submit those $5 a month. Submit. I don't know what a better word is. To subscribe. Submit. Do whatever you need to do. The $5 a month, if you can, to help us keep doing this thing we love.
Yes.
And thank you.
And we are not ideally, but we are getting commercials soon. That's coming down the pike. So it would be a good time to consider joining for $5 because you can get the podcast without ads. And also, if you could do it sooner, you might get a free year of it anyway. So you might want to be on the sooner side of that movement. And hi, friends. say hi to your friends for us and tell them to join us too. And these are the friends that got told by their friends to join us. So hi to all of these levels of friends. Come back and we will see you next session. Bye.
Let's reality